Alright everyone, so I want to start the business of getting the knight to transform into the werewolf. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to make it the case that when he turns into the werewolf, whatever armor he's wearing just explodes away from him. So he throws off his armor. That's what we're going to do in this video. So go to parts, and the way we're going to do this is we're going to create a clone of each of the armor pieces that is still remaining. So if you'll remember, there are two parts to the parts. There's the little guide that pulls the flying armor away, and then there's the piece that actually flies away. And the piece that actually flies away is a clone. And as you shoot off more and more pieces of the armor, the piece that moves away changes its ID by 1, and that changes its costume number, and so it wears all these different costumes, but it's really just the same piece flying away over and over again. But we can't continue with that. What we have to do to get them all to fly away at the same time is we have to create a bunch of clones. So grab an event when I receive, and it's going to be a new message, and it will be change to werewolf. So when I receive change to werewolf, we're going to get the main piece, the one that's not the guide, so the one that you can see, to clone itself several times. So the first thing we need to do is make sure it's not the guide. We don't want the guide also cloning itself, because it will also receive the signal, but we don't want it to do anything. So the first thing is, if I'm not the guide, then I'm going to start the cloning. Suppose the piece is at ID 3. That means that it is no longer the shield, it's no longer the far arm, those have been blown away, it's the far leg. Then the only clones I want to create are the rest of these, the ones that haven't flown away yet. I don't want to recreate these. I don't want these to fly away from the knight when they've already flown away. So similarly, if it's up to 6, then I only want it to do 7 and 8. So to do that, I want to repeat until the ID tops out is higher than 8. So repeat until my ID equals 9. So change my ID by 1 every time. So I'll explain this some more in a second. And then you want to create clone of myself. So here's the idea. It's going to go, suppose it's up to 3. Then it says repeat until my ID equals 9. So it's going to create a clone of itself that will also have ID 3. And then it's going to change its ID by 1 to 4. Still not up to 9. So it's going to create another clone of itself that will have ID 4, because it always copies what the value is of the original. It's going to change its ID to 5. It's going to repeat again. Now it's going to create a clone with ID 5, and so on. So it's going to create all these clones, and they're all going to have, each one's going to have a higher ID than the last one. Now, we've got to be careful here, because down here, when I start as clone, it says set my ID to 0. So if I've just set its ID to 4, but as soon as it starts, it's going to go back to 0, that's going to frustrate what we wanted. So let's try and remember why we did this. Well, the original idea was, this was how it used to be, that there's only one clone, and it's just going to be the initial state of the suit of armor. And so it starts at 0. We copied it from guide and we changed it to 0. Now what I want is I want to put that in an if-then around that. And this will say, look, hey, if you're the one that's being copied from the guide, if you're the very first one, you'll have copied your ID from your maker. So you'll have ID guide. So if you're that guy, if you're the very, very first piece that we copied from the guide, then change your ID to 0. But if you're one of these other pieces that we created during the explosion at the end, don't do anything, which means that you keep your ID as it is. Okay, now one last thing in this. We need broadcast armor explode. Oh, it's a new message, I should say. New message. Armor explode. So now we've done the sequence that changes. Now we've done the sequence that creates the clones. It's going to send another message that tells everything to explode. So all the clones are going to receive this message when I receive armor explode. And then we're just going to do the movement that goes away from them. So again, we don't want this to apply to the guide. So let's duplicate this, throw away the contents. So we're just going to check it's not the guide. I'm not interested in doing it with the guide. This is for everything else. We're going to override anything else that they're doing. So stop other scripts in sprite. And then we want to start at the knight, and we just want to kind of shoot out in a random direction. So go to the knight, point in a random direction. So point in direction, pick random 0 to 359, 360, but you don't want to represent it twice. Could have said 1 to 360, I guess. Make it look like it's ID. So they all look different. Switch costume to my ID, which will count as the costume number. Elsewhere in the code, it's got ghost 100 to hide it. So change ghost effect to 0 to make sure it can be seen. And then just do the motion itself. Repeat until touching edge. Move, let's say 10 steps. Just leave that as it is. And then at the end, we'll just do some cleanup, because once they've flown off the screen, you can just delete them. Okay, now one other thing that I want to do is I want to make his suit of chainmail collapse off of him. So go to Knight, and then when I receive armor explode, and we already have a block that causes the chainmail to collapse from his body, which is lose armor. Alright, let's see how this goes. First we gotta make sure the Knight is first on the enemies list. Okay, we've still got the werewolf hanging around, so let's fix that. Werewolf, when I receive start program, hide. When I receive start level, hide. And when I receive tell to disappear, hide. So this will make sure he's not lingering around when we hit the green flag at the beginning of the game. This will make sure he's not lingering around when we start a new level. And this is just what everything should respond to. So there might be a little bit of double duty there. I think a tell-all disappear happens between levels anyway, but doesn't do any harm. We also need something for development purposes. So when W key pressed, broadcast, change to werewolf. So this is just going to be my way of triggering this. Okay, I'm pressing W, and all of the stuff flew away, which was good, but his armor didn't collapse. So it broadcasts armor explode. I got the right thing there. Okay. It should be lose chain vest, not lose armor. Okay, that's the effect that I wanted. Okay, great, that will be that, and I'll see you in the next video.